Hola, 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 bienvenido, bienvenido. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. I know that it's been about a week and a half since I have done one of these Your Relocation um, videos. And the reason being is because I've been traveling but I'm here today. And I'm really glad that you have decided to stop by and just check out where I am going in the world today. Today we'll be going to South America. Um, where are you planning travels in the near future? I am currently back in Michigan. I will be headed back to Mexico very soon. We have our retreat that's coming up in September, and there's some things that myself and Sonia need to take care of to make sure that everything is in place for you guys that have already registered. There is still seats available for the Jumpstart Your Souljourn 2.5, which we will be hosting in Chapala, Jalisco, Mexico on September 19th through the 25th, 2025. I will make sure to leave a link in the description so you can take a look at all of the activities that we're going to be hosting there for you. And in the meantime, let's take a trip around the world virtually. And the place that we're going to be going to today is Bogota. Now, I'm going to be sharing some more information with you before you hop on a plane and head there because that is what we consider a high altitude area. And for some individuals, you may experience some physical discomforts. And I just want to make sure that you are prepared to go. When you're knowing that you're going to go to high altitudes, it's a good idea to check with your doctor about the possibility of getting some medications that can make that transition a little easier, especially if you're not going to be taking the time to gradually get to that higher altitude. So, without further ado, let me share my screen so that we can check out the place Bogota. Alrighty, let me put this over here. So, Bogota is in South America. It's actually the capital of Colombia. And one of the reasons that I wanted to check out Bogota is because, it's a little further down than where I am in Chapala, Jalisco, Mexico. So that is more central Mexico. This is South America. Mexico is considered part of North America. Colombia is in South America. So we're going further and further away from the border. So, things that I like to look at when you are considering moving abroad, one of the things that I highly recommend that you do is to not, necessarily do it alone. I provide a framework to help you kind of check out some of the tools, give you some education, and then keep you accountable of next steps when you are in the process of moving abroad. I think that it's a wonderful, viable option to do that instead of staying in the US, where it can be financially daunting for some. And I don't think that you have to do it alone. As a matter of fact, I am a pro co-living diva advocate with us living longer. Sometimes the spouse may no longer be with us for whatever reason. So I think that living in a co-living situation is a viable option for single Black women who want to move outside of the US. I am a highly pro co-living. I'm highly pro living outside of the US so that you can live a life of freedom, financial security, and fulfillment. Okay, so if that sounds like something that you are interested in or you want to know more about, again, I will leave links in the description so that we can get together and just have a chat. All right. So, cost of living in Bogota. Here we see that the estimated monthly cost for a family of four is about $1,863. That's excluding your rent. Okay. An estimated monthly cost for a single person is going to be around $531.90. Again, that is excluding the rent. Bogota is about 54.2 less expensive than Houston. And the rent on average is about 74.8% lower than those of you who are in the US living in the area of Houston. Pretty good information, right? So you can see how your pension or your Social Security or your savings can go a little longer in a foreign country like Bogota, Colombia. Let's look at some other things to consider, like the restaurants and the markets, transportation, utilities. And, some of you guys are into sports and other leisure activities. So we'll take a look at all of that to see about average what that might cost you. So restaurants, an inexpensive meal would cost maybe $44.92. That's pretty good. On an average, anywhere from $3.12 all the way up to $8.39. Now remember, this app is called Numbeo. This is one of the apps where individuals who are living in Colombia, in this case, individuals who have traveled and lived there at some point in time, they're putting their information into the database, and then this is how we're getting our ranges concerning the life they're in Bogota. So I love this app because you get experienced individuals. Now, it's subject to their what they perceive, but at least the information is there for us to gather information before taking off and landing in a country. Makes it a little softer for us when we know what we're getting into. So a meal for two people, mid-range restaurant, maybe like a three-course meal, it's going to cost you about $31.17. The average range is anywhere from $19.18 to $47.96. The domestic beer, if you were to get a pint of drought beer, it would be about $1.05. Imported beer, 12-ounce bottle, it's going to be about $2.16. Coffee drinkers, your cappuccino, a regular cappuccino is about $1.72. Pepsi drinkers, now Pepsi is real big in Mexico and South America. It's like a popular drink. A bottle is about 96 cents. That's USD. If you're going to be one of those individuals like myself who likes to go to the market or the tianguis to do your grocery shopping, it's a wonderful way to save on your food. You've got milk, 1 gallon is $4.57. On an average, anywhere from $3.63 to $6.45. A fresh loaf of bread, white bread, $1.30. Anywhere from 76 cents up to $1.74. A carton of eggs, we're talking about a dozen of eggs, is going to cost you about $2.08. Here in the US right now, it's $6, $7, and in some cases even more to get some eggs. Local cheese, a pound of cheese is about $2.09. I just bought some cheese yesterday, or day before yesterday, and I think it was like close to $5 for my cheese. But I like my cheese. Let's see, ground beef, 1 pound. So that's equivalent to a back leg of red meat. It's going to be about $3.29 a pound. Apples, $1.37 a pound. Bananas, 50 cents a pound. Oranges, 60 cents a pound. Tomatoes, 57 cents a pound. So going to the markets and buying fresh fruits and vegetables is a good idea. It's healthier and it's cost effective. Let's see, transportation. A one-way ticket about 72 cents on local transportation. If you get a bus pass, like a monthly bus pass, it's probably going to cost you about $40.89 USD. To go a mile in a taxi, about $1.74, $1.44. A taxi, an hour with waiting, is going to be about $6 there. Okay, their gasoline is $3.77 a gallon. That's USD. Let's look at your monthly utilities. Basic electricity for heating, cooling, water, garbage. If you're living in an apartment that's about 915 square feet, that cost is going to be about $78.89 a month. Your cell phone plan with 10 gigabytes plus data, $10.85 a month. Internet, 60 Mbps or more unlimited data with cable ADSL, $25.62 a month. Sports and leisure, fitness clubs, about $22.54 a month. Tennis court rental, $10.93. And that's for like an hour on the weekend. Going to the movies, $4.80. So this is considerably lower than in Northern America. So we're in South America here. Child care, preschool, a full day for one child, $278.69 would be about the monthly charge there. International primary school, a 1 year for a child would be $8,406.20. Looking at clothing, a pair of jeans, your 501 Levi's or something similar, about $56. A nice summer dress, $41.41. A pair of Nike shoes, $95.79. A good pair of men's leather business shoes, about $80. So let's look at the rent. One bedroom apartment in the city center is $436 and a penny on average. A one bedroom outside the center of the city is about $312.20. Let's say that you need 3 bedrooms. You want to move your family to Bogota. The city center is going to be about $750. That's for 3 bedrooms. If you're outside of the center, it drops down to $637.44. Now, if you're interested in buying a condo or something of that nature, the price per square feet to buy an apartment in the city center is $165.37. Outside of the center is $116.15. So there are some options for you. Now, the prices in Bogota that they've gathered here, this was last updated May 24th, 2025. In the past 12 months, 1,870 entries have been entered into this system for Bogota by about 187 different contributors. Okay, so there we have the quality of life or the cost of living in Bogota. What I'd like to do next is look at the quality of life. Excuse my sniffles. I still really haven't adjusted to this weather here in Michigan after being in all of that nice weather I was in Mexico. So, the cost of living, let's see what we got down here. Lost quality of life index. Let's see. No, I don't want that one. I want quality of life index, current quality of life index. Bear with me here. crime by country. Get Bogota here. There we go. Okay. So the quality of life index for Bogota is only 94.97. Let's see what it has to say. So purchasing power index is very low, 37.49. Safety index, very low, 33.50. Now the healthcare index is high, 66. Climate index, very high, 97.12. The cost of living, very low, 38.73. So it is a place to go if your finances are strapped and you need a place to be where it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, at least not in monetary value. The property price to income ratio is very high. So that's at 20.9. The traffic commute index, time index, really high, 51.59. And the pollution index is high, 70.04. So the total quality of life, again, 94.97. The minimum contributors for the underlining section was 185 people. The maximum contributors was 560. This was last updated April 23rd of 2025. So that is some fairly current information. Now there are some other nearby cities you may want to check out: Villa Vicencio and Manizales, which is almost 200 miles away. But those are some other nearby cities you may want to check out if you're not interested in being in the capital of Colombia, which is Bogota. Now, I briefly mentioned earlier about Bogota being at a high altitude. It is over here. We're going to go on over to Earth Awaits and take some pictures. Now, that's a picture of Bogota. You can see it's a pretty big city. They're really big on like the Center for Education, culture, and business. So it is a booming area in Central America, in South America. So this is Bogota. Let's take a look at this picture. Here's another city. So they definitely have some high rises there, something that we do not have in Chapala. We do not have high rises in Chapala. Okay, looks like the walkability probably is pretty good in Bogota. We'll take a look at that in just a minute. Another image source for you. What do we have going on here? Okay. Cafe Colores Cafe. Back there in the background. Look like a lot of young people. But this is Bogota, Colombia. Cost of living in Bogota, $1,419 per month. Looks like the population is 7,674,366. Again, just like with the Numbio platform, the Earth Awakes gives it a low quality of life. The number here is 38. Quality of health care is high at 66. The crime level is high at 66. The pollution level is high at 70. But it has a walk score of 90, which just looking at the pictures, I could tell that the walkability was fairly good. The traffic index is 231.55, purchasing power 37.49. The average broadband upload speed is 35.5 MBS, and the average broadband download is 66.8. All right. So I did want to look at the weather here. Let's see what we got going on. So it's giving it to me in Celsius. I know you guys want to know Fahrenheit, so let me flip that over real quick. So currently we are in May. The average high in May is 68 Fahrenheit and low will be 50. That makes sense. I mean, they're on like the Andes Mountains, a little plateau on the Andes Mountains. So being up on the mountains, I can see the weather being a little cooler there. In June, the average high is 66, average low 48, humidity 64%. In July, the average high is 66. So when does it get warm? No, the average is, it looks like between 67, 68, 68. It doesn't get very high there. In March, 71 is a high. Okay. All right, so that's for Bogota. So if you're a person that likes cooler weather, Bogota may be the solution for you. Now, I mentioned that this country, Bogota, the city of Bogota, is at a high elevation, about 8,600 feet above sea level, and it's like in the Andes Mountains, like on a plateau. So the individuals are prone to what they call acute mountain sickness, and generally that's like a general malaise and maybe some lightheadedness and headache. But for others that may be more sensitive to the mountain sickness, acute mountain sickness, there's HACE, which is high altitude cerebral edema, or HAPE, which is high altitude pulmonary edema. Now those both are a more severe form of mountain sickness, acute mountain sickness. And with the HACE, that's the HACE, the high altitude cerebral edema, some of the symptoms may be confusion, a loss of consciousness. You may experience like a low-grade fever, ataxia, photophobia, a rapid heartbeat, lassitude, and just an altered mental state. One of the best things to get out of that is to drop like about 1,000 feet and see if that helps. Otherwise, like I said, you can talk with your doctor about getting some medication to take prior to going so that it makes that transition better for you. With HAPE, that's the high altitude pulmonary edema, what is actually happening is that there's fluid that's accumulating in the lungs. And so you're going to have difficulty breathing with this particular symptom. And it's a serious form of the altitude sickness, which is potentially fatal if it's not treated quickly and properly. So you may have some shortness of breath, some weakness, a cough with either a pink or a frothy mucus. You may see bluish lips, or the skin may be kind of bluish. Some other symptoms would be that you have this chest tightness, again, the heart rate, and a low-grade fever. So just be mindful if you're going to be going to those areas. If you're going to be there any extended period of time, check with your doctor before going and see if it's appropriate for you to take medications that will help offset that. Otherwise, instead of just flying straight in and bam, you're there, you may want to gradually increase the altitude that you're going to. Just, just food for thought, especially if you're someone who has like heart condition um, and other cardiac issues. Just be mindful of that. As I've said before, I am Savvy D. Jones, the co-living diva. I live in Chapala, Jalisco, Mexico, and in the U.S. I believe that in our latter days, we need to surround ourselves with a robust community of like-minded women and men to keep up with our ability to live longer and help. And I think that longevity is a beautiful thing, but what's even more important is health longevity. And more research is suggesting that with a robust social life, you are more likely to live longer and healthier. Individuals living in isolation, individuals who are lonely, they are 50% more at risk for dying prematurely. Now, that's what the stats say. So I want to encourage you, if you are struggling financially in the US with either your pension or your Social Security, consider co-living. It's a viable option. More and more women that look like me are doing that, and they're doing it successfully in Mexico, in Colombia, in Panama, in Thailand, in Portugal. I mean, all over the world, in Africa. You can choose to leave. And I would love to have you join me with my Exodus by Design coaching program, where you get the tools, you get the education, and you have someone to be accountable to while you're making plans to exit us. Until next time, be well, live free, and prosper.